As an equestrian, you should be thinking about mood congruency, especially between you and your horse. Now, mood congruency is this idea that stems from psychology, and it is linked to the current mood you're in and the memories that your brain chooses to bring up. So, a lot of times I use this as a way of reminding myself in times where I'm feeling depressed or angry with myself that my brain is going to look for memories that are congruent with the mood I'm in, and that will prolong the state of mind I'm in. So, with the psychology aspect in mind, think about this idea between mood congruency of you and your horse. That's why equestrians need to be thinking about mood congruency. Hi, I'm Makayla, the host of Yoga for the Barn Isle. I am an equestrian life coach that helps equestrians build connection between themselves and their horses, helped by yoga philosophy as well as psychology-backed techniques. So, thinking about mood congruency, the first example that comes to mind that I will continue to tell is the moment I realized the connection between yoga and horses. I was out with my horse Bo, and I was walking him, just hand walking, and he was just acting out. He was extra fresh, extra jittery. I just wanted him to walk calmly next to me, but he was acting out. And I remember having this moment of realization or this epiphany that I was anxious and I was holding tension in my body, specifically in my shoulders. And so I took a moment to release the tension, and I did this through my breath. And I just started breathing deeply, and naturally my shoulders fell away from my ears, and I noticed that Bo calmed down alongside me. And this is when the connection between my mood and his mood made sense to me. And then I thought about all the other times that a horse I've been riding has picked up on my energy, whether I've been calm, whether I've been focused or anxious. They all have changed their behavior just a little bit, sometimes a lot, based upon how I was feeling. So, taking this example, I hope that you can think of examples from your own personal equestrian life that help you understand this idea of mood congruency between you and your horse. So, we're taking this idea that stems from psychology, and instead we're shifting it into something we can use to make us better equestrians. And just by bringing this type of awareness to notice whether your mood is congruent or incongruent between you and your horse allows you to become a better equestrian. You level up purely by increasing and improving your awareness between you and your horse. And by doing so, your connection between you and your horse will get better. So I mentioned that I used my breath. And this was before I fully got into yoga. It was probably towards the beginning of when I was going through my yoga teacher certification. And so I didn't really understand what pranayama was. So pranayama means breath control or life force, depending upon the lineage of yoga you're following. So my idea is that your breath is your life force, and pranayama practices are a means to control your breath for an intended outcome. It's a very intentional practice utilizing your breath. So thinking about pranayama practices, there's a few that you can use. One of my favorites just for everyday usage is the box breathing method. And this is commonly used to decrease anxiety. So box breathing, you inhale for sometimes 4, sometimes 6 counts, hold your breath for either 4 or 6 counts, exhale for 4 or 6 counts, and then you hold again 4 or 6 counts before repeating the cycle. So you end up shifting inhale, hold, exhale, hold, and you can think about a box being made, or you moving from point A to B, B to C, C to D, and then from D to A again, and repeating the process. This I found has been a really useful pranayama practice when I am either just sitting with Bo and I'm trying to lower my energy and kind of reconnect with his energy. The other time I like using this is when I can count his hoof beats. So when he's going at a walk, because that's a 4-count gait, and noticing if you can count the 4 hooves and then breathe with it. I don't get to ride Bo a lot because he's retired, but this is one of those practices that I think would have been really cool to utilize when I was riding more consistently and as I was preparing for shows to get me more attuned with each of his 4 legs. So that's a little side tangent of a pranayama practice and what it could do for your connection with your horse in a physical sense. But the breath practice itself helps you connect and lower your own energy, maybe connecting to your horses. The other pranayama practice that I really like to use when I'm trying to draw my horse's attention to me, specifically I use this when I'm trying to start a groundwork session, but I use what's called the bee's breath. And essentially this is a humming breath. And so you take an inhale into your nose, hold your lips together, and hum at an octave of your choice. And different people, as well as different horses, will respond to different octaves. Some will be more energetic, some will be more calming, and it really just depends on you and your horse. So I myself find higher octaves to be more energizing and lower octaves to be calming. But Bo, after I've kind of played around with it, he likes a middle ground octave, somewhere in the middle that just feels very, very natural. I don't really think about like where it is in the spectrum of high to low. But utilizing this bee's breath, it sounds different to them. And so automatically they kind of will turn to look at you. And then as you keep going and cycling through this pranayama, they'll start and you'll watch like their head lowers and then you can feel their energy lower, and it's this connection between you and your horse. I really like to actually look at the middle point in his chest when I'm breathing like this, where his heart is. And I think I picked this up from an animal communicator named Joanna, one of her kind of tips to help connect with your horse, but I took that and then added on my own pranayama practices to it. And it's one of the most useful times to use pranayama is to connect with your horse before a ride or a groundwork session, really doing anything with them. So thinking about mood congruency and pranayama practices, the link here is utilizing pranayama practices to create or cultivate mood congruency. So you might utilize a pranayama practice to calm yourself down to connect with your horse, or you might use it to calm your horse down to connect with you. An example of when this might happen would be after your horse has spooked. And so they're a little antsy, looking all around, and you're just trying to draw attention back to yourself. The other option of when you might use a pranayama practice for mood congruency is when both of you are at a heightened state of anxiety or anxiousness or distractibility, and you're trying to lower both of your energies. So you might already be mood congruent, but not in a positive way. So instead, you're using a pranayama practice to change the mood congruency, even though it's already the same, to something that's more manageable and positive in a riding or groundwork situation. Now, mood congruency, and I talked about this being very intentional and mindful, that improves your connection with your horse, takes something called svadhyaya, or self-study. And this means that you have to be knowledgeable enough of yourself to recognize your moods. You have to be in tune with yourself and accepting of your moods to then go and work to change it. So that's the other part of yoga philosophy I want to bring into this conversation, is this idea of self-study. And trying to use this idea of mood congruency does not happen overnight. It takes a lot of time, repetition, practice. But I promise you, the more you think about it and the more you add these yoga philosophy points or yogic practices, the more you'll notice how much you notice about yourself, how much you can study yourself without necessarily trying to, but you'll start to have more and more epiphany moments that allow you to become a better equestrian and therefore find a better connection with your horse. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. I would greatly appreciate it if you could give us a like, follow, subscribe, wherever you're listening to us. And if you're looking for more, check us out on Instagram or over on our website, callebautyoga.com. This is where you can register for the new upcoming course, as well as subscribe to the email list to be a VIP member of the Callebaut Yoga family, getting first access to everything, as well as helping me build courses. Those VIP members is where I go when I'm unsure of what you want to see from me as an equestrian life coach. And that means that you get to say and help me build exactly what you want out of every course and program I offer. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.